Good morning, everyone. Appreciate everybody being at our April 14th, 2026 Madison County Fiscal Court meeting. This is a regular scheduled meeting here in our Madison County Courthouse Annex in our fiscal courtroom at 135 West Irvin Street. At this time, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk Barger, if you will, please call the roll.
Master Combs.
Here.
Master Lockman.
Here.
Master Hughes.
Praise the Lord.
Master Buchan.
Present.
Judge Taylor.
Here. Just a reminder that public comment, there's a sign-in sheet in the back of the room. The sign-up period will end at 9:45, so anybody that wants to speak during public comment, if you will, please fill out the sheet that's in the back of the room. At this time, I'd like to invite my friend and pastor of Eastside Community Church. You moved. Virgil Grant, come up and lead us in a word of prayer. Appreciate you being here, Virgil.
Yeah, I was telling someone that I got to apologize to Robin. I don't know if she's here or not.
Yeah.
She emails me about every month to come and do this. And finally, I just said, okay, I'm changing my schedule to be here. So she would give me a break. So thank you for being persistent. I thought I want to say one quick word, or two quick words. One, Eastside's thankful for you, for your community service. We're glad to be a partner with the court system, with hosting voting elections every cycle that comes around. So we're happy about that, and we're grateful that we get to do this together. And I thought in this crazy season, I would share something that I do about 3 or 4 times a week. I have 4 or 5 rhythms that I read every morning to remind myself of my value and that keep me anchored in this crazy world. And I thought, well, in this election season, this might be some good words of comfort for you that are going through that. And so one of the things I do is I say this to myself 3 or 4 times a week. Every day is a new opportunity to break cycles of trauma and work on healing. In other words, to become a better person every day. Something amazing could happen today, and that's exciting. I will never get this day back, so I will appreciate it, and I will make the most of it. Even if I face obstacles and have a bad day, I am resilient, and I will learn something. I'm allowed to be a work in progress. I have something important to contribute to this world and to this community. I will not waste my life on triviality. I will remember what matters. Life is fleeting and precious. Don't squander it. Joyfully be present to every minute of life. And so just a reminder that, we can live with the bucket half empty rather than half full. So again, thank y'all. Let me pray for us. Father, thank you for these men and women who serves our community. And Father, they do it with glad and sincere hearts. And Father, we know that we live in a world, in a community that's divided, and that everybody has an opinion and everybody has thoughts. But Father, I just pray that you will help these leaders, our county leaders, to be centered on their calling, centered on the calling that you've placed on their lives. And that, Father, regardless of the chatter or regardless of what people says, that they would stay true to the calling that you've placed upon them, and that is to make this county a better place and to serve the people in this community. And Father, I ask that you would protect their hearts, that you would protect their minds, that you would give them discernment as they lead and as they interact and as they share the vision that they have for this community. Father, I pray that you would give them wisdom. I pray that you'll give them patience, gentleness, kindness, joy, love, and peace. And Father, I just ask that they would continue to lean on you as they lead us into the future. And Father, I just pray that you'll bless this meeting and that, Lord, that you to be glorified as a result of this meeting. We pray all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Virgil. Tony, if you will, lead us in pledge.
Please stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Tony. Members of the court, y'all have had a chance to look at our previous meeting minutes. We do have two different sets of minutes we need to approve today. Excuse me. The first is our regular scheduled meeting that was held on March 24, 2026. I need a motion and a second to approve, please.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Our next was a special call meeting that we had on March 31st, 2026. Again, I need a motion and a second for approval.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bodkin?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Treasurer's report is always at our fourth Tuesday, so we'll have that at our next meeting. First order of business today is a proclamation recognizing Fair Housing Month, and we have Ruby Smith with FAHI here with us today, and we'll accept the proclamation. Ruby, if you want to make your way up to the podium there, and I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Federal Fair Housing Act enacted on April 11th, 1968, and the Federal Fair Housing Act amendments of 1988 prohibit discriminatory housing practices. And whereas fair housing means persons may freely choose a place to live without regard to race, color, national origin, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, disability, or familial status. And whereas fair housing laws apply to persons viewing or renting an apartment, viewing or purchasing a home, applying for and securing a home loan, or purchasing homeowners or renters insurance. And whereas community education and outreach are key to raising awareness of fair housing principles, rights, practices, and responsibilities for all Madison Countyans. Now therefore, I, Reagan Taylor, Madison County Judge Executive in the Madison County Fiscal Court, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2026 as Fair Housing Month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruby, for being here.
Absolutely. Well, as I was introduced, my name is Ruby Smith, and I want to thank you all for presenting me with the 2026 Fair Housing Proclamation. On behalf of FAHI and as a Madison County native, I am honored to be here today. I know I speak for all of FAHI when I say we are proud to have partnered with the City of Richmond to administer Community Development Block Grant funds through the Public Service System for the Recovery Kentucky program. This partnership has allowed us to assist in securing funds for Liberty Place, a substance use disorder recovery center for women, for over 10 years. For a little bit of background on FAHI and the work that we do across the region, FAHI is a membership network of 50 community-based nonprofits in Appalachia, serving Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. With a focus on safe, affordable, accessible, and fair home ownership, FAHI has administered over 60 housing projects and created over 1,000 affordable units in the last 10 years alone. And while FAHI has multiple channels, including Just Choice Lending, Community Lending, Advocacy in Tennessee and Washington, D.C., and a membership part, my part in the greater picture of FAHI is with the projects team. Within the projects team, our primary focus is on housing and community development, specifically leveraging community development block grant funds. We currently have 25 CDBG clients, which include cities, counties, and nonprofits, that we assist in accessing public service, public facilities, housing, community projects, and recovery housing funds. These projects range from the development of a food pantry in Elliott County to sewer lines in Harlan County and a project that is turning an old Whitesburg High School into recovery housing units. But most importantly, FAHI would not have the impact that we do without the relationships we have built. So I'd like to thank you again for not only presenting us with the 2026 Fair Housing Proclamation, but for your ongoing partnership with FAHI. We look forward to many more years working alongside the City of Richmond to support prosperity in the region and fair housing. Thank you all. Thank you.
Appreciate it. It's good to have you. Very nice to meet you. Absolutely. Glad you're home, girl, too. Come on. How you doing, Trey? Next on our agenda is the Resolution 2026-022. It's Madison County Detention Center Healthcare Facility Service Agreement for FY 26-27. Larry? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, this Madison County Fiscal Court Resolution 2026-22, a resolution for the for the Madison County Fiscal Court to approve a healthcare facility services agreement between the Madison County Detention Center and West Kentucky Correctional Healthcare, LLC, doing business as Comprehensive Correctional Care. Whereas the Madison County Detention Center, hereinafter referred to as the jail, and Comprehensive Correctional Care, hereinafter referred to as 3C, desire to enter into a healthcare facility services agreement, known as the agreement, and whereas 3C is a Kentucky limited liability company that provides and arranges for the provision of primary care services through employed and independently contracted physician and non-physician healthcare providers, and coordinates medical and other healthcare services for persons in the custody of the jail. And whereas Madison County Jailer Larry Brock is pleased with the services provided by 3C and wishes to enter into the attached agreement to provide inmates with quality healthcare services. And whereas the term of this agreement shall be 1 year, commencing on July 1st, 2026, and ending June 30, 2027, with an option to automatically renew annually, subject to the provisions of Section 5 of this agreement. The annual base contract amount for the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 agreement is $1,020,965.55, plus a cost pool of $40,000, which equates to a combined total of $1,060,965.55. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to negotiate and execute contracts on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-022. What's the pleasure of the court?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can you talk a little bit about the cost of healthcare over the past few years? What's happened over there?
Yeah, I mean, it's, and Blake's here too. Well, there you are. Sorry. You were sitting back there. Yeah. Yeah, they're moving on me. When I shook their hand, I came in, they moved seats. Blake, if you want to come up, you can probably talk to it with your expertise. Blake is with 3Cs, one of the owners or the owner of 3Cs, obviously from the medical world. I can give you the perspective of, since I've been here I'm in my 12th year. When I first came in, we didn't have medical in the jail, and so fast.
It was zero, wasn't it?
Other than, there was times we would have to take, individuals to emergency room, or we would still, I mean, you remember those things from your time on the fiscal court, Billy Ray, but it's obviously with the drug epidemic, I think you have a sicker population of individuals than you probably ever have had. And I think a lot of fiscal courts, a lot of county jails have had to bring medical inside the jail due to that population and the liability. The liability of not having the medical provider inside the jail for individuals sets fiscal courts and counties up for lawsuits. And so we never had it. We got medical. They were here, I think, maybe 12 hours a day, I think, at the time, and then we ultimately went to 24-hour care, which we did that a few years ago, not very long ago. So, Blake, I'm sure the liability risk has gone up on you all as well.
Oh, yeah.
Being a medical provider which is part of this increase in our discussions, is because your insurance rates also go up because insurance rates are based on risk.
That's right. And first, I'll start off, I appreciate Madison County very much. I mean, we've been here for several years now. I'm a Kentucky resident as well, reside out of Marshall County, so I thank you all for putting your trust in us over the last several years. But I wish I could say medical costs were going down. I wish everybody could say that. Unfortunately, they're not, and especially in corrections, they're not. You know, the risk continues to go up, nursing wages continue to go up. So the biggest part of this is a liability increase in the overall environment in correctional healthcare. So when we started the company 7 years ago, there was 10 people that wrote insurance. Now there's 4 on the domestic market. And so we're starting to see some stabilization there. But this is all has to do with MAT, OUD, a lot of DOJ rulings that have come down. And so the majority of all of this has to do with liability increases. And we're eating a lot of this too internally. Judge and I had some conversations prior, several months ago, that I'm not trying to throw all of this on the county because I know the seat you are in. And we're going to continue to evaluate moving forward of different options and solutions. But yeah, it's just, and nursing wages have went through the roof too. So those are the two things that we continue to combat.
I saw around the news, some county in Kentucky, I think Eastern Kentucky, was being sued by a hospital for jail
Non-payment, wasn't it?
non-payment, several $1 million that they had costs they had incurred with the local hospital, that they were being sued. I thought, man, it'd be a rough situation.
On a positive note, I will say there's been some things happening on the state level with state inmates to help with reimbursement for services outside of the county. So that's a really big thing. Up until now, the counties had to pay for state inmates when they leave the facility for ER visits and stuff like that. That is not the case anymore. We're still trying to find clarity on how to get the county reimbursed for that, but that is a positive note. That could be a big dollar amount. I could actually get that for the last couple of years for you.
Yeah, in the past, even for state inmates, that the county was responsible for first $1,000, and then anything over $1,000, then you could submit.
Yeah, so we do that right now for
Yeah.
your county inmates for
Right.
catastrophic coverage.
Yeah. But I think it wasn't until the money ran out, there was only so much money
I
in
think-
that fund for catastrophic.
I think that is correct,
Yeah.
yes. But state inmates has been something that's really hurt a lot of county jails because they're having to pay all the medical expenses at the hospital and everything. So that's a big thing. So we're going to continue to follow that, and if we can get some numbers on what potential savings could be, we'll definitely pass that along.
Which you all know, in our jail, we don't have a whole lot of extra room to house a lot of state inmates. You're always going to have some because they come out of getting their sentence out of court, and they come over to our jail, and they stay with us until the state has a place to redirect them to, or have a bed open up or what have you. So we're always say we're probably always going to have 30 to 50 state inmates at any given time. Larry, is that fair to say? It bounces, yeah. So.
And Judge, we're taking care of the medical care for the inmates that are inside of our facility. What happens and what's the financial impact of the ones that we don't have room for that we ship out to other counties?
Well, anything that's included in the per diem that we have to pay for those individuals, but anything in most of our contracts, if my memory's correct, that anything that's above what the contract says, we're responsible to pay that. So, but you asked the question about medical, but I'm going to also add of what the increase has been.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to add what it's been. I had Jill, actually Brian had called asking for this. But in 2016, the fiscal court contribution, the general fund contribution to the jail fund, was budgeted at $1.645 million. So $1,645,000, some change. This year, we budgeted $4,002,000. So.
Would you say the increase that was?
It's like 142% increase or something like that, yeah.
So how do you manage the risk? I mean, I've come back from a manufacturing experience, and when you have a risk, you engineer around the risk. So how do we engineer around this risk to reduce this cost?
Internally, we're working some angles for the liability piece, or liability expense. You're talking about risk for costs on associated with liability. We're looking at some international markets like London markets and self-insurance like KCO does for the counties. That's some options that are out there as well. And so those are things that we're looking at internally when it comes to liability. But we also want to give you a policy that is very strong and something that is not, that protects the county for sure. So.
But is there, what options are there for engineering the risk, bigger facility? What are you seeing across the state that makes a difference, that takes that risk away?
So usually the bigger the facility and the bigger the staffing model, the risk goes down because you have more nursing hours there. And the bigger facility is just tied to that because there's more inmates to afford a higher, more complex staffing model. So I know a couple years ago, we had to go to 24 hours. That was how we mitigated the risk to even have insurance for the facility because they wanted to make sure it was 24 hours. So I would say a more complex, more robust staffing model would help with the risk. There is a potential move where we could look at having increased staff, which would increase the staffing piece, but potentially decrease the liability piece. I'll tell you, smaller jails around the state, they're struggling too. It's just, especially the jails that have 40 hours of nursing and even 12 hours of nursing, they're in the same boat when it comes to liability. And it's not just our company, it's every one of them out there going through this right now. So I hope that answers your question, but I mean, the more staffing you have on the jail, the more hours you have on the jail, the less the risk is. Is just sort of, how that works out.
Well, if y'all remember a few years ago, the previous provider, they weren't renewing the agreement. They weren't staying. That's why we bid this out. And was fortunate somebody was interested in
Just have somebody.
in bidding it, and so.
I mean, we got to this point because of state mandate, correct?
Yeah.
It's not our choice.
No.
The state said that you're going to do this. When I think about it.
And we don't house, one thing I want to make clear, I think people, citizens, a lot of times they get confused or maybe misinterpret what he said, but people in the past have said we house inmates from other counties. We don't house inmates from other counties. Now, somebody might get arrested, Tony, in Madison County that's from another county, but their crime was in Madison County, so they stay in the Madison County Detention Center, and so we're not soliciting, other counties to say, hey, bring your inmates to us so that we can try to make some money. I can tell you what the per diem is and what you get for housing inmates is not a good business model. I can tell you that.
And I can tell you that based on the facilities we have in Kentucky, you'll have one of the highest county populations there is. So.
I mean, it's sad that the number one financial issue, and you all know this, is facing counties is the inmate population. That was KCO's number one item to the legislature in advocacy this session, to the state to take on the responsibility of what should be their responsibility, that they're unfunding us, throwing down to us, unfunded mandates. We talk about it all the time. And we basically got a big goose egg. We got nothing.
Absolutely.
Kick the
And that's
can
the
down the
frustration.
road.
And the individuals that are next door, they committed a state crime. They are not, and Jenny could help me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think there's anybody in jail, Larry, that has broken a county ordinance or a city order. These are state offenses. County jails were never meant to be permanent housing. They were meant to be temporary holding facilities to get somebody through a court system in a timely manner. And because of years and years and years of the state kicking the can or dangling a carrot out in front of counties' faces, fiscal court's faces, and saying, hey, hold our state inmates, we'll pay you. it's not enough money. And 20 years go by, and this is the problem that we get into, that our budgets go from 1.6 million to $4 million.
Judge, there's another issue that we've all discussed as well, and that is the judicial system has to be involved in this. Because we've got people in there that have broken a law, state law, but the state law may not be in today's world. In other words, there's some offenses, and I won't get into any specifics, that really incarceration is probably not the answer. But because it hasn't been addressed or updated, and there's a lot of differing opinions on this, but there's a lot of people in jail that, in my opinion, shouldn't be in jail. But because they've broken a state law, they're in jail. And that has to be addressed as well, or this whole jail situation that we have in Kentucky, of which we all worked very hard to lobby the people in Frankfurt and to kick the can down the road, is not going to change. It's going to get worse.
Well, your penitentiaries were always built to be rehabilitation centers. They were built to rehabilitate an individual that had done something wrong. There's opportunities, there's programming. You know, county jails weren't built that way. Ours definitely wasn't built that way. I mean, some people would argue, Billy Ray, back in the 90s when they built it, that they didn't build it big enough, you know. That they were at capacity the day they opened, you know, and here we are 36 years later with the same, pretty much the same footprint, and, you know, it's the situation we're in, you know.
Bad situation.
Now, I will say that, you know, I've had lots of conversations with our counselors, you know, or I've had conversations with our judges, you know, district court folks. I remember them bringing me stuff that says, tell me which one of these that you would put out of here, you know?
A list of everybody
Yeah.
I have on my felony docket Wednesday, and you tell me which ones don't belong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would bet,
We won't tell you, we'll give you an opinion maybe.
I would bet my paycheck that you put more people in jail than I do. after you bring that list. So,
Yeah, and when you see those, it really does make you appreciate, it makes me appreciate the job that they do with trying to navigate that. I mean, I think a lot of our other partners, I'll say colleagues, are sensitive to our situation, and they really do try to help. And when they put it in perspective for you, and you see how many chances,
Well,
you know, an
and I think
individual
that's-
that you've
yeah.
given somebody, and it's like, hey, I gave you a chance, and then they were contempt of court because they didn't show up, or, you know, they did some other thing before this was rectified, right?
Right.
And so, you know, anyway.
Well, and I do think, you know, through the last couple terms, the court has worked really well with our community providers. We've built programs that we've had to adapt with societal changes that we realized, you know, the jail is not the answer. We have to work with it. I mean, we put more people through a felony docket in treatment program, but drug charges are not my number one charge on my felony docket. That's not the predominant caseload that we have. It's, in Madison County, it's a violent crime offense. The majority of the felony offenses that come through every Wednesday is a violent crime offense. But, you know, to offset the change in what's happening in society, we look at those possession charges and things and give them those chances. I can promise you, I give more than one chance to everybody that comes across that docket on a felony charge. But at some point in time, I mean, Judge Taylor's right. When it's 15, then what am I supposed to do? You know? So, I mean, I think the court has done really well in supporting those programs to help kind of decrease. But I'll happily give you the jail list, and you guys can go through it and tell me who you think should get released from jail.
It may be more of a state issue and not a local issue.
Well,
What
and
I'm
I think,
talk-
yes.
That's what I'm talking
And I
about.
think there's, you know, there's and that's the discretion. So you guys trust me to make that discretionary call, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely correct.
And I think that's the difference. You know, it may not be the case throughout the state that everybody's in kind of agreement, and the programs don't exist. For the smaller counties, it's going to be a lot harder for them to work. You know, we are blessed to have Baptist Health Richmond, to have the programming. I mean, I can go to them. We started with the CDIOP program, right, for the drug charges. And I went to Laura King and I said, all right, I'm going to need something that deals with domestic violence. We're going to need some anger management IOP. We've got to develop a more intensive program. So they've worked on that and just put that out in the last year. They've put, I think we've got 3 programs out now that we use for them. So to have partners in our community, like Baptist Health and some of the other providers that we use, Ethan Health, New Vista, some of those, I mean, we're very blessed to have that first. I mean, but we're also one of the top 3 largest growing counties in the state. So we're trying to keep up the best we can. So, but I do understand the overall, but I think, you know, unfortunately, the jail wasn't big enough when it was built. It definitely isn't big enough 20 years later, right? Not with the changes that we have in society.
And we also, not just district court, we have circuit court. I mean, you know, I think, and I don't know, it's not my job, it's not my elected position to run the judicial piece of it, but it's hard to comprehend. You know, we've got 2 murderers that are over there in the jail that committed murder with 2 wonderful families of our community, and those 2 individuals are still sitting over there on our local dime. 4 years later, I mean, I don't remember. It's been for years they've been sitting over there.
And just to Jenny's point, and I take her points very well, she does her job excellent, but until the state that mandates to us recognizes and properly funds the county, I would never even consider a larger jail, because it'd just make the hole bigger. And of course, they're encouraging now supposedly, and I understand some of it with the new legislation that they did pass, you know, they're encouraging regionalism, but that's yet to be seen. There are some good regional jails, but that's easier said than done. So our particular situation might be a bit different. So anyway, just a comment.
Well, the expense of building a new facility right now is, I know Williamsburg, Whitley County, they're building a 100-bed facility, and it's costing about $110,000 a bed. They're adding 100 beds onto their facility right now. And I talked to the county judge down there, Pat White, and he told me it was costing them about $110,000 a bed. So, I mean, you're talking about, if we say we added 500 beds, I mean, you're talking about $55 million.
Well, regionalism is fine too, but your regional partners have to have the financial situation where they can sustain the expenditures that they have to put into the regional facility. And I don't, you know, right now in Kentucky, some of the smaller counties are having a really tough financial time. So, I mean, I just don't get why the state has to address it.
They do.
I mean, Madison County, we're a region in ourselves, though. We're so big.
I just know that, you know, the largest complaint I get, and I'm sure all the magistrates are the same, is roads. And I know that, you know, our general fund doesn't pay for our roads. It comes from the gas tax. But that's our largest asset in the county, is our road system. And we're taking in, you know, Jill printed this out, we're taking in a little over $5.5 million in property tax total. And we're offsetting the jail costs, $4 million of it. It doesn't give much room to do anything else. And I mean, I know citizens are sick of taxes, and they're tired of, you know, insurance premium tax, all that stuff. But if you didn't have it, then you wouldn't have elections or anything else to go with it. All the other services that are mandated, and it's just not sustainable.
When you talk about the gas tax, you know, there's no floor on that. When the gas prices went down, the tax that we received, the revenues that we received from the Commonwealth on the tax went down as well. There needs to be a floor on it because there's more roads, not less roads.
Absolutely. And the cost.
And the cost goes up every year. So, I mean, until the state decides that they're going to properly fund their mandates, it's going to get worse and worse. And yeah, the citizens don't want any new taxes. I don't blame them.
No. But I want them to understand that, you know, the frustration is shared here, that, you know, you know, when you go out and look at a road, you know that it needs to be fixed. That's not an issue. How are you going to pay for it? That's the issue. And,
Well, our county road aid's already estimated to be lower than what we budgeted because of the fuel price.
Right.
Of course, a lot of times citizens think, well, fuel prices are crazy right now. Well, that just happened, you know. It'll take a while for that to catch up. Maybe it does, but when fuel goes up, it's great for our county road aid because that means we'll get more revenue. But when fuel goes down, it means we get less. I mean, it's just the way the formula works. But anyway, hey, I appreciate great conversation. We've been talking so long. Blake took a seat over there.
He got tired.
Yeah. Is there any other?
He's heard all this before, too.
Yeah, I'm sure he has. Yeah.
So, year over year, what was the percentage increase?
On medical, I would have to go back and look.
Is it going to be about 10 or 15%?
I would say some years are going to be
No,
far
I'm talking
less.
about on this particular thing
Moving
we're
forward?
voting on.
Moving forward, I have it in there, I think, and we can double check the language, but it's to have a conversation with the judge and the jailer and talk about what the next year looks like, because I can't control the next year.
No, and I'm not putting this on you. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make it transparent for the
I-
citizens to realize
Yeah.
how much it's going up in 1 year.
I would say the majority of increases that we're looking at post in next year, we're planning on 5 to 7% is what we're planning on.
Yeah, I think just for transparency, Blake's worked with us really well when he's needed increases, and you all given me the authority like last year to sort of negotiate. Sometimes he's worked with us on splitting those costs up. So instead of it being, let's just say 80,000 increase, I've negotiated with him, like, can we do 40 this year and 40 next year? And he's been kind enough to do that, so it's not such a big hit on us. This year, I think one of the biggest increases is based on his insurance.
Yeah.
When he called me and said, I've got good news and bad news, he says, good news is my insurance company's not canceling Madison County Jail. But the bad news is the insurance costs
We high risk.
are graded.
Yeah, well, I just,
Yes, we are.
I just want to be transparent with it because when it's 5 to 7% of $1 million,
Yes, sir.
it's a bigger number.
Yes, absolutely.
And throughout the, when we start getting some of those initial indications in the fall to winter, I will be as transparent as I was this year, meet with the judge and the jailer and kind of go through what we're kind of receiving, and continue to talk through that. I'm hoping it will go down. That's my hope. That's where I'm
We're
crossing my
not the
fingers.
only county experiencing.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
But I will say that
We're in good company.
I will say that, that Larry being here and working with Blake and some of the policies I think they've implemented has helped from the risk standpoint. The training that he's given some of our staff and them working with the medical staff in the jail and some of the procedural things they're doing has really helped lessen the risk, I'll say. Is that fair to say?
I would agree.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
I got a couple of questions, Reagan.
Sure.
And this, I'm sure it's just because I don't understand it, but I'm going to ask anyway. There's a statement in last year's contract, and it's in this one as well, and it says that any amount of increase thereafter should be based on the medical CPI index not to exceed 5%. When I look at the dollar value of our contract, and I look at that one, just that one statement, I can't connect the two because a 5% increase on our contract is not what shows up in the bottom line. The bottom line increase this team is 18.3%.
Yes, sir. So when we talked last summer, as Judge Taylor was talking about trying to split up some of the expense for the increase for last year, we had it set in to go up to a certain amount this year, and then with an annual increase from that point forward, not to exceed that. However, when we got our insurance premiums and we started getting those conversations, we had to have conversations that was just not going to cover it, and we had that. And so there's other parts of that contract that says, we can give our notice at any point if we need to for something like that. And so that's why I went straight to the judge and said, I know this is what it says. This is the hand we've been dealt. Can you work with me on this? And so we had those conversations. As far as the language moving forward, as far as increases, I will be glad to work with the whoever to make that a little bit more plain. A lot of people, some of our contracts don't have any of that language. Some do. It's at the pleasure of the court if they want a more budgeted amount to budget on. However, this year is different, obviously, because of the insurance increase and the conversations we had. So that can be amended however the court wants it. I don't mind having that conversation.
And that's ultimately why we're here today, Tom, to talk about this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I wish that there were somewhere in here that it reflected your insurance cost.
That could 100% be a option. You know, we could take insurance out of the contract and let the county bear the full premium. That's something we've talked about in some counties. I would not recommend that in this case specifically, but for me, I would love to take my insurance cost out on a county basis and bill it separate. So whether it's good or bad, it goes straight to the county to pay whatever that number is.
And we talked about that that day. You said that was an option, but I also knew what you're increasing versus what your
Correct.
insurance premium was for Madison County, and so
Yes.
it's a better deal for us to do
I don't-
what this says.
Yeah, right. Another thing that was, on page 3 of this, it makes a reference to on-site primary care being provided and including services in Table 1, Schedule A, and the paragraph right below it references Table 2, Schedule A. We don't have either one of those. We don't have Schedule A, and we didn't have either one of those two tables. Now, I'm saying that because next year, I'd like to see those included in it. I won't be here next year, so you're getting a pass on me, but those need to be included so the rest of these guys can see it.
I can share that,
It was
yeah.
in last year's, and that's the only reason that I know what it is, and I'm not raising a bigger stink about it, because
It has not changed, sir, but I can definitely send it over. I thought it was a part of that contract. That is my apologies.
yeah, that's okay. I think I'm done with you. I need to talk to the jailer just for a second. Jailer Brock, there is some things on page 4 that talks about quarterly jail staff training. And it says that training shall be on healthcare topics provided by 3C. And then it says that the jail shall be responsible for requiring the jail staff attendance, participation, scheduled training of those sessions. How many people attend those sessions? And how often do you have them?
Well, that's probably a better question for Major Hall. He knows that more specifically, but my understanding is there's periodically those occur, and all staff are required to attend. I know that CPR, I think, is one of the primary ones, CPR, and every staff member has to go to that training.
Okay, so basically you try to get all of them, or he tries to get all of them routed through at one quarter through the year. So everybody has the basic training.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That's one of the things that helps lower the cost. On page 5, it talks about the opioid use disorder. And it says that, the jail has a legal duty under the Federal Americans with Disabilities Act to arrange for and make medical necessary and treatment for opioid use disorder available to inmates diagnosed with OUD while in the jail's custody. Treatment includes FDA-approved medicines, and then it goes on to say methadone, the official name for Suboxone, and naltrexone, which is Vivitrol. Are we issuing those drugs to our prisoners?
We are. Methadone and the Suboxone for sure. The other, I'm not as much up on, but I know that's, pretty much, daily occurrence dealing with that, so.
Are they
yes.
given?
And that's fairly new. Blake might be able to speak to that
Yeah.
better. I think that was a federal decision. I think that's, if you followed Liberty Place, the Drug Rehab Center for Women, I think that was one of the things that they were abstinence. It was an abstinence program, but it had to switch for legal reasons. I think laws came out that said you had to offer that, correct, Blake?
Correct.
You'll have to come to the mic too, by the way.
Yeah, so about, 2 years ago or so, I think is when it really kicked off. The ADA came out saying that OUD is a chronic condition, so it had to be treated in facilities. And so everything you just read there, Suboxone, methadone, naltrexone, and the long-acting injectables are all used, and it's clinical. Inmate comes in, they're screened for it, and the provider makes a clinical determination whether to continue it or not. And so that's one of the reasons that liability has increased so much, because that's shifted that responsibility to us. As far as methadone has to be getting at an off-site treatment center. We're not an MTP or OTP, which is what you have to be to dispense it. It's assigned to local clinics in the community. And so those patients are either transported out, or they have an agreement, the jail has an agreement with those clinics to bring that medications in. I will say part of the increase in the staffing is to do with the med pass it takes for MAT medications. You have to watch them for a very long time to make sure they swallow, it dissolves, and those kind of things. And so it's a time-consuming task. But to answer your question, yes, all of that is happening.
So, and they administer Vivitrol too?
I can't answer directly to Vivitrol, but it is an option. The most common are going to be your buprenorphine and your methadone because of cost for the county. The long-acting injectables are by far the most preferred, but there is a big cost issue there.
And who decides what they get?
So the clinician is the one that makes the ultimate call. But some jails have grants and funds where the long-acting injectables can be used. But at the end of the day, it's the clinician. It's a medical decision.
So the individual that is getting the medicine, can they choose?
Not usually, no.
Not usually.
It is a clinical decision, and the clinician will use their judgment to determine what to do next.
There was a state program, and since I'm asking this for a reason. If we are administering those drugs, there, at least last year and the year before, there was a state program at one time that if you were a MOUD, that the state provided funds to your facility per individual for that medications. Do you know, are we receiving any of that, Larry? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's something we definitely need to check into, and I'll tell you, a good source for that information, that's Kenton County. They've got an in-house program up there. They're doing that, and they're receiving some state funds for that, quite a bit, as a matter of fact. So I think that's something that we definitely ought to follow up on.
And the majority of the counties are using the abatement funds to help supplement some of that cost. But yes, Kenton County does have a different program.
Okay, so my other question was about the OTP and NTP. You discussed that already. Thank you for that. It says in the contract also that if the cost pool does not exceed the annual amount of $40,000, that that remaining amount is refunded back to the county.
Correct.
Do you know if that's ever been done? Does anybody know if that's ever been done? Has the county ever gotten any money back out of that?
No, sir, I don't think it has.
In the middle of the year, have we ever had to put money into that? Jill's a yeah?
I'm,
I know we've had to increase our cost pool over the course of the last 4 years, our cost pools have increased because of the outside things that are not on formulary or not covered through precincts.
Okay. Says that the jail, this is for you, Jailer Brock, the jail shall be solely responsible for collecting any and all co-pays and other fees from inmates charged for the jail for any medical or pharmacy services. Do you have any luck at that?
I would say it's limited. We try to recover what we can, but, truthfully, some have no ability to pay, or very limited ability to pay, but we try to collect what we can from the inmates, and even have a vendor that sends out bills to try to collect the money as well if we don't get it directly. So we make efforts to get it. We just, it's hit and miss.
Okay, healthcare training, you've already got that. So I guess my final comment on the jail medical, first of all, sir, just want to say to you, thank you very much for the service that you provide to Madison County. We could be in a whole lot worse shape. Having patted you on the back for that, I can tell you, I'm not happy about the cost, nor would you be, nor would anything else be. I don't understand sometimes why that we pay such an exorbitant amount for medicines, apparently, by our contract increases, when I can't get a local Walgreens to give me the medicine that I need on a Medicare rate. You know, and I don't understand what that correlation is. You know, I don't understand, do you have a set rate that's different from a government rate? Would a county not get a Medicare rate? I know I don't believe that our patients, our prisoners are on Medicare because their federal money gets stopped whenever they get incarcerated. Is that correct?
It is, yeah. There is
So-
no health insurance, though. I mean,
You know, how do you determine the cost, I guess, is still an issue. Something we'd just like for you to look at and work on as you go forward. This one issue right here, this will single-handedly break the county. It would have already broke the county had we not have put in insurance premium several years ago. We took a severe beating over, but I'm telling you, if that was not in place, we didn't have that in place, the revenue that's received from that, we'd be in bad trouble over the jail. That's just it. But again, thank you for what you do for us. We appreciate it. We appreciate your people. I'm not beating them to death. We appreciate what they do over there. They've got a tough job and a tough situation. I wouldn't have it. You couldn't pay me enough to do it. But we appreciate you, Jared Brock. We appreciate what you do over there as well. Thank you.
anyone else? We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-022. There's nothing else? Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Lockmuller,
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Bach.
No.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Thank you all. Blake, thank you. Larry, thank you. Thank you. All right, next is Resolution 2026-023. This is a PetSmart Charities, Inc. Adoption Partner Agreement. Jill.
Yes, this is a resolution relating to the adoption of partner agreement by and between PetSmart Charities and Madison County Fiscal Court. Whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court and PetSmart Charities wish to enter into an adoption partnership agreement. And whereas Charities agrees to permit adoption partners to participate in the Charities Adoption Program located at one or more PetSmart Charities Adoption Centers or other spaces at PetSmart retail stores. Whereas the adoption program's sole purpose is to help facilitate and provide a location to facilitate adoptions of dogs, cats, and other pets. And whereas both parties agree to the terms and conditions set forth in the attached agreement. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to negotiate and execute contracts on behalf of the county.
Motion approved Resolution 2026-023, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Jill, do you have anything to add?
This is an amazing opportunity, something we've worked on trying to get to this point for years, and we are finally there. We are super excited to be able to partner with PetSmart here in Richmond, but also around the region to do adoptions at those centers for our animals. It's a great opportunity. Sissy and our team at the animal shelter have worked together with PetSmart to make this happen. The big thing that had been holding us up previously and not making us eligible to do that is ensuring that all animals were spayed or neutered prior to adoption. And so now that we have those protocols in place, it has been able to allow us to formalize this agreement. And so our first event with them will be in May. And so we're super excited. It's a huge opportunity, and this is a big milestone for us moving forward. So again, Sissy and the team have been able to make this happen, and it's been a long time coming. I think that at least for 4 years we've been working on trying to get that partnership with PetSmart, and we finally got there.
It's exciting, very exciting. Appreciate our team out there, all the work they do.
Absolutely, I want to comment on that, and thank you, Jill. I mean, just the positive things that are going on with the animal shelter, you know, with the participation in the pizza parlor pizza. May not be much money, but it's money coming in. With the participation with our casino night coming up this weekend, there's going to be money coming in. And now with this, there may not be a lot of money coming in, but there's going to be an avenue, an alternative avenue for adoptions. And I just feel really blessed at the job that Sissy and people in the community and people in the county government are doing to move our animal shelter forward. I know we still have a goal and a desire to build a new one, but I don't think anybody's lost any lust or passion not to do that. It's just a matter of time and money. But I am so pleased and so tickled to death with the direction of our animal shelter and everybody's efforts. So thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we do have a motion second to approve Resolution 2026-023. No further discussion. Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Master Bucking.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmuller.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next, Resolution 2026-024 is the Pedigree Foundation Transport Grant Partnership, MOA. Jill?
Yes, this is a resolution relating to a memorandum of agreement by and between Madison County Animal Shelter and Kentucky Save Incorporated, formalizing a Pedigree Foundation Transport Grant Partnership. Whereas the Pedigree Foundation aims to provide grant funds to focus on supporting foster, transport, and behavior programs, which have been proven to increase adoptions and will help shelters alleviate the volume of dogs in our care. And whereas this MOA formalizes a strategic partnership between Madison County Animal Shelter and Kentucky Save to collaboratively apply for and implement funding through the Pedigree Foundation Transport Grant Program. And whereas both parties agree to the terms and conditions set forth in the attached MOA, which will retroactively go into effect April 13th, 2026. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution to retroactively go into effect April 13th, 2026, and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to negotiate and execute contracts on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Jill. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-024. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move it. So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So just to give you a little background, Pedigree Foundation offers a grant program, but they only offer that grant program to 501c3s through our existing partnership that we've had over the course of the last couple of years with Kentucky Save and Four Paws Unleashed. Four Paws and Kentucky Save agreed to be our 501c3 partner. We partner with them every day on this grant application. It is a grant application for $50,000 annually and a 2-year agreement for transport cost and to help really do some of the work that we're already doing with our rescue organizations, identify additional rescue organizations, but help cover some of that cost, providing to get those animals to rescue. So obviously it's a competitive grant program. There's no guarantee that we receive that, but we're always going to go down swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. And this would help us as we transport our large amount of animals with our partnership in the Northeast, I say,
Yeah.
where we go to Charleston.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So this would help us cover some of those costs.
And the goal is to identify, we have a couple of amazing rescue partners, but if we have some additional funding to help with transport costs, we can identify even more rescue partners in those areas that would alleviate even more of the burden on the county as far as getting animals to responsible pet owners in other regions of the country.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? We do have a motion and a second. Hearing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Bucking.
Yes.
Master Combs.
Yes.
Master Lockmuller.
Yes.
Master Hughes.
Yes.
Judge Taylor.
Yes. Next is Resolution 2026-025. It's a Madison County Coroner salary adjustment.
This is a resolution of the Madison County Fiscal Court to establish the annual salary of the coroner of Madison County, Kentucky in accordance with KRS requirements. Whereas KRS 64.530 and related statutes provide that the fiscal court of each county shall establish the annual salary of the coroner in accordance with statutory guidelines. And whereas the Madison County coroner has requested an increase in his salary. And whereas the position of coroner carries significant responsibility, including the investigation of deaths within Madison County, the preparation of reports and testimony for legal proceedings, the coordination with law enforcement and medical personnel, and the provision of critical public health information to provide the citizens of Madison County. And whereas the Madison County Fiscal Court recognizes the dedication, professional expertise, and essential public service provided by the Madison County coroner and seeks to ensure the position is appropriately compensated in accordance with state law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Madison County Fiscal Court as follows. Salary adjustment. The annual salary of the Madison County coroner shall be adjusted as prescribed in KRS 64.530 in the year in which the coroner is elected. Compliance with the law. The resolution is adopted in strict compliance with the timing requirements of the state law. Implementation. The county treasurer is hereby directed to implement the salary adjustment effective January 2027. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison County Fiscal Court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Motion approved resolution 2026-025, Judge.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do. I'd just like to say a couple things. We are very blessed to have Jimmy Cornelius as our coroner here in Madison County. It's a thankless job. It's a job that I, again, like the jailer, I wouldn't have. And it takes a special person to do that. You know, he deals with no positive situations. Every situation he rose into is a negative situation. And he handles that with grace and dignity to the families, and we thank him for everything he does over there. You know, the coroner is not all that different, if you will, than the magistrates. I've got opportunity here, so I'm going to use it. County clerk, sheriff, judge,
Jailer.
and the jailer's salaries is set by state fee, constitutional officers. Magistrates are constitutional officers. However, magistrate's salary is not set like the rest of the constitutional officers is set. Every year, the state deems what the increase is going to be for those other elected officials. Magistrate's salary is set at some point in time. In our case, it was probably, I don't know, it's before I got in office, at our base rate, and the increases that we get from that is on whatever the cost of living adjustment is. This year, it's $36,000 plus the training. We get a letter every January that tells what that salary could be. It could be in the $90,000 range by the Constitution. However, the problem with that is it's only one time when you can ask for that. Anybody want to take a guess when it is?
Election year.
Thank you very much. It's in the election year. It's in the Monday has to be done before the primary election. So nobody will do it. No magistrate will give themselves a pay raise knowing that election's coming up and their opponent's going to use it against them. I'm telling you, it's one of the biggest fallacies that there is in Madison County. When I decided years ago that I was going to run for magistrate, Dr. Tudor was the magistrate then. And I called Dr. Tudor and asked him, I said, sir, what does it take to do that? And he told me it takes this, 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 and this. And oh, well, by the way, you're going to do between 30 and 38 hours. Give or take a little bit. You get out of it what you put into it. I was working a full-time job, 2 little boys at home, a wife, and it's like, I don't have time for that. And that particular year, Greg King won that election. But I decided later, it's like my situation changed, my boys got a little older, it wouldn't take so much time, I would run for that. But our salary has not increased proportionally to the other constitutional officers. And there's going to be a point in time when you won't be able to get people to run for a magistrate. It's a part-time job. I'm going to tell you something. This is the busiest part-time job I ever had in my life. You call and we sign up for it, and that's what we do. But you should be compensated for it as well. Just all I got to say. Anyway, our coroner is a super guy, and I pat him on the back every chance I get.
So just for the record, because it wasn't in the resolution, but the request was 75,000. So just for the record, was his request.
And the actual request doesn't reflect this year, it's the next election cycle, which, I mean, he's unopposed, but
Right,
technically,
it
it's not
does.
for Jimmy, it's for the coroner.
It's for the coroner position starting, I believe it starts the first Monday in January is when the actual county elected offices start. Yep, by the state statute, I guess, is where it comes from. So, yes, this does not go into effect until the new term.
January 2027.
Any other comments? We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-025. Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Luckmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you all. Next, Resolution 2026-026, House Bill 556, MOA. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. A resolution to approve the memorandum of agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Justice and Public Safety Cabinet, Department of Corrections, or the Commonwealth, and Multi-Kentucky County and Regional Jails, the contractor. Whereas the purpose of the MOA is to establish an agreement for program facilitator services, and whereas the definitions listed in this MOA shall represent the common and exclusive understanding of the parties hereto, and whereas the term of this MOA shall begin July 1st, 2026, and continue through June 30th, 2028, upon approval of the Secretary of the Finance and Administration Cabinet or his authorized designee, and submission to the Legislation Research Commission Government Contract Review Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that the fiscal court does hereby approve this resolution and authorizes the judge executive and/or his designee to execute the same on behalf of the county.
Thank you, Sarah. Members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-026. Do I have a motion and a second, please?
I make a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Judge, the representative that we have for Madison County, she is the individual that if we had those programs that they're talking about here in our jail, is she the person that would oversee those along, or work with the jailer to oversee those programs? Is that the way I understand it? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Susie.
Yeah. So I think that goes along with what I was talking about earlier, Jailer Brock, that though you might be able to investigate and see if what it takes to get any of those programs in over there. I know that some of them are state funded, so maybe it'd help you some.
And part of the problem, I'll just tell you.
Hey, Larry, if you don't, sorry.
I won't take what's-
Yeah.
Part of the problem for us is, we have to find somebody that's capable of presenting the programs. DOC will train them, but also, we don't have a whole lot of space in the jail to conduct programming. you know.
Sure.
So we have some constraints there, but we'd love to have those programs come in and be delivered to the inmates if we
Yes, sir.
could. So we've not given up on it yet.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you.
And some of the state has built some of these programs around models where they actually hold a lot of state inmates. Like they have a jail, the capacity at the jail is great enough where they actually are housing Class Ds and Cs, and they're there for 4 years or 3 years or however long it is, I mean, the majority of our individuals are waiting either to be sent to a facility like that has it, or they're not state inmates yet. They're county inmates, and they're not there maybe long enough to actually
I think if I
get the
remember,
benefit out of the programming.
Marion County used to be one of the.
Yeah, they were
I don't know
big.
if they're
Yeah.
still doing it.
Yeah, they still,
but
Marion
they were
County still.
one of the
Yeah,
better programs in the state.
it was, yeah,
Incarceration.
yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Anything else? Anyone else? We do have a motion second to approve Resolution 2026-026. Hearing none, Clerk Barger, call the roll.
Master Luckmuller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bakken?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Next, Resolution 2026-027. This is a transfer of ownership of certain county-owned historic portrait to the Madison County Historical Society. Jill?
Yes, this is a resolution of the Madison County Fiscal Court approving the transfer of ownership of certain county-owned historic portraits to the Madison County Historical Society. Whereas Madison County Fiscal Court is the current owner of certain historic portraits that depict individuals and events significant to the history of Madison County, Kentucky. And whereas the Madison County Historical Society is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the preservation, interpretation, and public display of Madison County history. And whereas the county has determined that the long-term preservation and public accessibility of these historic portraits is best served by transferring ownership to the Madison County Historical Society. And whereas the Madison County Historical Society has agreed to accept ownership of the portraits and to assume responsibility for their care, preservation, and appropriate display in accordance with professional historic standards. Now therefore be it resolved by the Madison County Fiscal Court as follows. Transfer of ownership. Ownership of the historic portraits currently held by the county as more particularly described in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated by reference, is hereby transferred and conveyed to the Madison County Historical Society. Conditions of transfer. The portraits are transferred as is without warranty and shall be used by the Madison County Historical Society for historical preservation, educational, and public display purposes consistent with its mission. No cost to the county. The transfer of ownership shall be made at no cost to the county, and the county shall receive no monetary consideration for the transfer. Authorization. The Madison County Judge Executive is hereby authorized and directed to execute any documents to take any actions necessary to make this transfer. Effective date. This resolution shall take effect immediately upon adoption. And then attached is the list of those historical portraits, as well as the minutes from the Madison County Historical Society. And then, of course, Sharon Graves, representing the Historical Society, is here. And for those of you who know Sharon, you know that she will take great care of any historical document.
We appreciate all she does.
Thank you, Sharon.
She does more than just these portraits. She spends a lot of time with our clerk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So, members of the court, you've heard Resolution 2026-027. What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Motion and a second. So as you all know, just a little bit of the history, just to remind you, these portraits were hanging in the old circuit court room before the courthouse renovation. We learned along the way, Counselor, that these actually were probably part Bar Association, Madison County Bar Association. Some of those were our portraits of people from our past, and it was determined that the Bar Association wanted certain ones and that the others were counties. Some of those that we felt like that this list were more on the judicial side of things, and some of them we kept. If y'all remember, we preserved some of those portraits that actually are right over there, but they're going to be hung in here. And then these are the ones that we wanted preservation, but we worked with Sharon and the Historical Society to actually get them in a more fitting space. So that's kind of the history behind them.
Where are they right now? Where are these paintings? Right
Well, I'm afraid to say. What if somebody wanted one?
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, forget I asked.
Yeah. They're in a safe place.
All right.
Yeah, they're in a safe place. We did have them go. The ALC actually took them first because I thought they were theirs, and nobody told me otherwise, and so we found out they actually weren't. But they had taken them to a warehouse in Frankfort when they moved out of the courthouse before the remodel. We actually took them, got them evaluated with a company in Ohio that does preservation of portraits like that. And so, if y'all remember, I've talked to some of this in the past because we approved getting some of them redone and preserved and protected. These are the ones that we did not. We brought them back. They're in a safe place, and we'll get them transferred over to the Historical Society. So.
Sharon, do you want to say anything about these, what they're, where we placed at or anything?
Thank you for that wonderful gift. The 10 portraits will be placed at Irvington. Irvington is currently undergoing some renovation for that purpose. We are starting a fundraising campaign because based on the Weebold amount they predicted they would cost, it was right around $32,000 to get those repaired. We do have a benefactor who is paying for 4 of them, which will cost $18,000, so that leaves the Historical Society raising $16,000. So we'll start that campaign very soon.
It's good. Thank you.
Appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? We do have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2026-027. Hearing none, call the roll.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lightmiller?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. Thank you all. Thanks, Sharon. Appreciate you. Personnel. Jessica, good morning.
Good morning. Members of the court, I'd like to ask you all to approve the hiring recommendations in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the hiring recommendations. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lightmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes. We want to take a recess real quick, or you good? Everybody else okay? Let's keep pushing through? Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Jessica. Appreciate it. Next, the judge's report. Just a few announcements. The Battle of Richmond Association is hosting a 2026 Living History Days event on April 24th and April 25th. Well, actually, April 24th is for schools. April 25th is for the public. And it's from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Visit their Facebook page or call 859-200-0433 for more information. Reminder to join us for an evening of fun, food, and friendly competition is for a shared purpose, supporting better future of animals. It's the casino night hosted by Kentucky Save and benefiting both Kentucky Save and the Massachusetts Animal Shelter. This will take place on Friday, April 24th, 2026, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Chenault Vineyards in Richmond. Also, visit our website at www.madisoncountyky.gov/community events to see a list of some of the events happening throughout our community. If you have an event you would like to feature on our page, just simply click Submit an Event button and complete the form. And please use this, those watching. This allows us not to have conflicts with events going on. Right now is campaign season, so there is a lot of events, and if people would use that, maybe some people's events, they would change the date if they knew somebody else was having another event. So if everybody gets in the habit of using our community calendar, then everybody would know when events are actually taking place and maybe won't have so many conflicts. It's not on my judge report, Jill, but are we going to make an announcement today about our public meeting we're having Monday night? We're going to do that during department head comments or whatever? Okay. All right. Thank you. Tom, magistrate comments.
Hey, just a couple things, Judge. I want to go back. If you were here today and you're watching on TV and you were listening to the jail discussions and everything that's associated with that, it would be easy to sit and see the picture today and say, what you guys been doing up there? That's a train wreck. And, when I listen at it and hear it and read it myself, I think, man, this is a train wreck. But, if you remember and you think back, we've been proactive since we've been in office on this now in our 12th year. When we first got in, you formed a task force, jail task force, that had community leaders, some business people, a magistrate at that time, John Tudor. I were part of that, and we went and looked at other jails and we looked at other different things and made phone calls to a lot of different places, but that ended up stalling due to funds. We have also looked at the possibilities of, this was 10 years ago, 10 years ago, of regional jail and what it would take to do that. And, trying to find counties that was interested in partnering with us, and we ran into a lot of issues there that they weren't here at that time to do that. To supplement those costs, then came the insurance premium. We were trying to raise $1.2 million to send our prisoners to other jails to keep from bankrupting the county. And we were successful in that. We raised those funds, and Jada Brock knows that he can manage a staff that he has as far as prisoners goes. He can manage that's manageable is what I'm trying to say over there. He can send the rest of them out. We have a fund for that. And, the other thing that we've done, everybody that's sitting on this court, everybody that's been on previous courts, we go to Frankfurt every year and we lobby the legislator for more funds. We've done it over and over and over. And I'm telling you, this year, things look good. Man, there was that House bill that was going through, it had 50 some odd, might have been more than that, but 50 some odd legislators that signed on to that as co-signers. But it just died. You know, it didn't make it out. So, you know, here we are another year in the same boat where we were. You know, it's no different. We're still dealing with the same issue that we were when we got here 12 years ago. So enough on that. But there's been actions taken across the time for that. Just want to let, I'm not sure, Scott's not here, I'd ask him, but I don't think any of the 4th District roads have been blacktop yet. But blacktop's coming, and some of the road prep for that has been done over there, so just be aware of that. And also, I got a call, I got a email this week from a lady talking about burning in one of her neighborhoods. And so there is a number that you can call for that. It's the 911 non-emergency number. It's 624-4776, 624-4776 is the non-emergency 911 number. If you see a burn or something that you don't think is right or should be going on, you can call that number and they'll dispatch the fire department, somebody from them to go out and investigate it and check it out and make sure it's all legal and on the up and up. That's all I've got, Judge. Anyone needs me, they can reach me at 200-9765.
Thank you, Tom. The only thing I'll add to that is if you want to burn, you can also call that number and report that you're doing a controlled burn so that when somebody does call, then 911 is not dispatching our fire out. They already know what's going on.
Yes.
So we're not using resources to send our first responders out to something that is a controlled burn.
Yep.
So
Thanks
for that.
Appreciate it.
Brian.
Talked a lot about jails today, like we usually do, and there's been a task force in state level since 1984, I think. This is going to continue to be a problem until we get some relief from our legislature. I mentioned last meeting, there's a lot of trash on the roads. We're working on a issue out in Paint Lick on the state road. There's a legal dump there on state property. Been talking to Brandon about it, trying to get that resolved. Also, through Jackson Holler, Narrow Gap, that area is always bad this time of year. Just encourage citizens to, have pride in your community. This is where we live. Don't trash it up. And other than that, Judge, just glad to be here.
Ditto on the jails, ditto on the trash, and the only other comment I'll make is that I've been getting some calls about the private driveway that goes into Casey's up at the north exit, and it should be paved pretty soon, but obviously with all those big semis going in there, there's some caverns, so to speak, as one lady told me, but it's going to be fixed. They're obligated to fix it. It's just a matter of Allen Company getting in there and getting it paved. So I just wanted to make sure the public knew that.
And that's not a county obligation.
No, that's a private road.
Private, yeah. Billy Ray.
You know, we went up there to Frankfurt, where we were advocating for that House Bill 557, get help from the state, but, and he was giving the price tag on it, as it was about $300 million a year, which would have been worth $1 million or $2 million to Madison County, but it's still taxpayer money.
It is, yeah.
It's still taxpayer money. We're still paying, taxpayers are still paying for it. It's just a matter, the cost is not going to change. It's just, what pot it comes, but it's still taxpayer money. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, the state's paying it, but we're all still paying that.
It's tax dollars.
Then, we've got that big construction project out on the Irvin Road, and it's a pretty good project. Chief, you been hung in traffic any yet? I mean, it's going to be an inconvenience for a little while, but it's going to be a major improvement out there. We just need to be patient on the traffic, one-way traffic, as it is right now. And that's all I got, Judge.
Thank you, Billy Ray. Counselor? I said. All right. That's first. Yeah.
No, it ain't
anything at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talk more.
Kenny?
I just got one little thing. You talked about the per diem on state inmates, and Tom talked about what the county has done, but sometimes what's more important is what you haven't done. that you didn't go in the hole millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars to open a prison like some counties have. And now they're realizing that, the government, not a lot of times, there's disbursements and revenues. People just look at the revenues. Well, look how much money we could bring in if we took in state inmates. Then the hens come to roost when you got to start paying the bills. You all didn't do that. You didn't put this county in a real bind by just jumping into, let's build a jail because we need more beds. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kenny. Tommy, you got anything? You good? All right. Comments from department heads?
Well, birds at training. As Judge Taylor said, we do have a busy couple of weeks coming up, but Bert has talked about this, I think, at every fiscal court meeting, and we've obviously put stuff out, but our public visiting workshop for our comprehensive plan is Monday night. That will be right here in this room from 5 until 7. And that'll be an opportunity. We'll have our professional planners and our team from Taylor Seifert Williams here that'll help facilitate that. There's opportunities for community members to give input, to make selections on the things that are most important to them, what they like, what they don't like, things of that nature. So we encourage as many people as possible to participate in that. And then also at that same time, there will be a survey launch that'll be available for the public to complete electronically, that survey, giving your input as well. So that is the official kickoff of our comprehensive plan festivities, I guess you would, on Monday night, April 20th, from 5 to 7 p.m. in this room. So I'm sure Bert would have other things to add. But is there anything I missed about that, Judge Taylor?
No, the only thing I want to add is that we've had some, so we scheduled this before the magistrate forum that's also on Monday night. And so we did not want to change it since we'd already scheduled it, and we'd already put some advertisements out. But we had some concern about, from citizens that had called, saying we scheduled it on that night. Well, that event, the forum was actually scheduled on our night, and I don't want to change it. But if we do not have a good turnout and we need another public forum in person, then we will schedule another one. And so the magistrates that are set up here with me, the candidates, if we need to have another one, we will definitely have another one. It's not a problem to have one, because with a comprehensive plan, we want community input. Even though a lot of people in the community don't think we do, we do. And so we want to give opportunity for citizens to be able to help us create our pathway for our future. So.
And then I just want to highlight 2 other things that'll be going on in the community, specific to the that we're beneficiaries of, I'll say. On Thursday, April 23rd, which is next Thursday, that is when there will be the child abuse prevention event on the courthouse lawn. You all know it's Child Abuse Prevention Month, and this is something we always support. We'll do that. We'll be on the courthouse lawn on April the 23rd. And then the following night, which is April the 24th, is the Kentucky Save animal event to benefit both Kentucky Save and the Madison County Animal Shelter. I cannot say enough good things about Ashley and their team that have put this event together, just really to benefit animal welfare and to benefit the shelter in our community. So that being said, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think Chris was going to try to get the calendar up there so you all can see how much stuff's going on. But those are just a couple of things I think we definitely want to make sure people know about.
Yep. Thank you, Jill. Appreciate it. Any other department heads need to address the court today? All right, seeing none. Public comment. Mary.
Hi, I just had a quick question. Has the property...
Mary, just state your name, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary McMahon, I just figured you all knew.
Yeah, we do, but other people.
Going out.
Oh, okay.
Other
okay.
people don't, yeah.
All right. Has the property for the new fire station been transferred from the Markhams to the county?
From the Say that again now?
The property that the new fire station is being built on, has it been transferred to the county?
Yes.
It has?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we closed on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and you
Yeah.
broke ground and all that?
Yeah, it's the county-owned property, yes.
Awesome.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it true what I'm hearing, that the Keeneland Fire Station's going to be sold to the city?
No, that is not true.
Okay. Is it going to stay open? Have you made a decision?
It is, it will be. We haven't made all the final details of that, but we hope that we can work with the city of Richmond to potentially move a fire station there, one of their city stations. But that's not been determined yet. We've had some little conversations, but nothing's set in stone, but that is a possibility, yes.
Okay, so will it stay open whether the city moves the fire station there or not? Or how will that work?
I don't know, I understand your question.
I don't understand what you just said. You said it was going to stay open, but then I thought I heard you say that it was city fire station would be moving there.
Judge, if I may, there's been some confusion out on social media, or maybe it's not confusion, maybe it's misinformation, that the county is getting out of Keeneland Drive, and therefore there's going to be areas that won't be covered by fire anymore because of the move up north. I think everybody's wanting to have what is real and what's not misinformation, as far as the operations of the Keeneland Drive.
So if there will be no coverage loss for anybody that gets covered from the Keeneland Drive station.
Okay.
Whether it be the county stays there and we also move to the north station, or if we partner with the city of Richmond to cover that same service boundary.
We could potentially
you might-
have mutual aid or automatic aid with the city.
You might explain that we have that in Berea.
Sure.
Maybe that'll make-
I understand that. I guess the question is there going to be a fire station at the Keeneland Drive?
Yes.
location? Okay,
One way or the other, whether it's served by county firefighters or the city of Richmond firefighters.
okay,
There would be still firefighters in that station.
Okay.
We have a lot of mutual aid agreements already. We have automatic aid agreements.
Right, I understand all
with
that.
with our city partners, and so it wouldn't be any different.
No
We
law- no laws, sir.
are not, I'm not for, I mean, this would be a fiscal court decision, but I'm not for packing up and leaving our Keeneland Drive Fire Station empty with no firefighters,
okay,
whether it be county served or city served.
okay. So that decision, you just said that decision hasn't been made.
It has not been made with our city partners and how that will look and that kind of thing. There have been some early conversations, but nothing sitting down and working it out. We'll be doing that in the future, in the near future.
Okay. And one thing, I don't think it's made it to you all's calendar yet, I'm not sure. There will be a program on the data centers on the 21st, next Tuesday at the library, if anybody's interested in that. We've got
Sure.
Several speakers coming in.
Do you all have that information?
We do.
So you can actually, this would be a good opportunity to go in, or you can send it to us. We'll put it on our
Oh,
community
we can
calendar.
do it,
But
we
you can
just-
do it yourself. You can
Okay.
go in and submit, you want to submit an event, and you put it up there.
awesome, I'll do that right now.
You can you can add an attachment, I think, Jill. You can add your flyer or whatever your advertisement is.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, there it
That's
is
what
on
I'll
our
do. I
website.
appreciate
But
it.
if you don't want to do that, you can send it to us, and we'll
Sure.
be glad to put it up there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we
Be
can do
great.
that. All right.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
When
Mary.
did you say it is?
The 21st.
21st.
A week from today,
What time is it?
6 o'clock at the library.
Is it Richmond Library?
Yes.
Thank you, Mary.
Judge, I just want to make one comment. We're not, and this is not directly at Mary, we never have been, and we aren't going to, and it never has been or going to be, that we are reducing service or reducing coverage of fire department coverage. It's always been that we're expanding. And there's just misinformation out there of people that didn't understand or didn't ask the question or didn't call you or whatever. And I just want to make sure that I reiterate that. We're not reducing at all the coverage for Madison County. We're expanding.
Correct.
So I'm
But
not upset. Don't get me wrong. That's just my nature.
But if it's on Facebook, it's true, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's always true if it's on Facebook. All right, so thank you, Mary, appreciate it. Next is pay the claims and approve the transfers. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Yes.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?
Yes, our next meeting is April 28th, 2026. That'll be right back here in Richmond at 9:30 a.m. Next meeting, April 28th, 2026, right back here in Richmond. I need a motion and a second to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Master Lockmiller?
Yes.
Master Hughes?
Aye.
Master Bucking?
Yes.
Master Combs?
Yes.
Judge Taylor?